Welcome, and this is the Grassroots Education and Entertainment Network, your number one source of information, education, and entertainment. For honest, responsible, and dependable information, we stand supreme. To stay focused, inspired, and relaxed, choose green. Ekabo, and welcome to another episode of the traditional Ifa Orisa traditional community discussion show. I would open by reading the Oriki. Ope ni fun Olorun, Oludumare Oba Ajiki, Mojiloni, Mowongun Meriaye, Iba Ila Orun, Iba Iwo Orun, Iba Ariwa, Iba Gosu, Iba Oba Egbalye, Iba Orun Oke, Iba Baba, Iba Yeye, Iba Atiwo Orun, Ibashe Igungun Kiki Igungun, Ibashe Ori, Ori Inu, Ipori Atiwo Orun. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Okay, folks, well, today we are going to discuss a few of the tenets of the tradition, specifically the Orisha aspect of the tradition. I'm going to read from a handout, and the handout is from this source, from the Ile Echo Shango Oshun Melosa. All right, and the governing Odu for this shrine would be Oshe Sa. All right, and this is the handout from which I would be sharing the information that we are going to discuss on today's show. All right, the tenets are as follows. I know that there is one God called Oludumare who created and controls the universe. I know that there are forces of nature to deal with the affairs of the universe and of man. I know that ancestral spirits must be remembered, honored, and consulted by the living. I know that divination is the roadmap to destiny. I know
the use of offerings and blood sacrifices are for atonement and elevation of our prayers to Orisha and Egun. I know of magic, and by magic, they are speaking about the transformation of prayers and offerings to action. I know of the magical and medicinal use of herbs. I know that man can commune with Oludumare through trance possession. I know that ritual song and dance is mandatory in the worship of Oludumare. I know that in reincarnation we are reborn through our bloodline or lineage. All right. So this are the tenets that were listed for this particular Orisha shrine. All right. Now, I would want to examine one or two of these tenets that probably requires an explanation. All right, without trying to be contradictory or controversial or anything of the sort. Now, remember, as I've stated, on most of these streams and sessions, that the sources of the information I would always give. However, the views sometimes from the articles, the handouts, the websites, or the documents, whether it's research or books, do not always reflect my own personal viewpoint. So I would always encourage viewers, please don't be confused if when I read articles from different sources that the information are relatively different. All it means is that it came from a different source, and in many cases, the lineages or the location that the information come from might be different to another article or lesson or information that I provide. All right. I want to explain this so that persons viewing the stream minds are clear. All right. We live in the diaspora. Okay. And a lot of the information that we utilize comes from the diaspora from various sources. Some of it comes from Nigeria from different sources. All right. As a result of which, many of the ideas would be expressed differently. All right. I've explained before some of the challenges that we have, right? Particularly the one of linguistics. You know, culture also poses another challenge to us. All right. But I don't want to go too deep into that. But I needed to give that explanation as to avoid confusion, particularly for persons who are not practitioners. They would wonder, well, why I say this week and next week I say something different. Again, the reason for that is the sources, and in some cases, the cultural differences and the interpretation of the information. All right, so I would start off again with the first tenet, and I would attempt to probably add one or two little comments to it. The first tenet that I read says, I know that there is one God called Olodumare, who created and controls the universe. Now, if you can recall from previous lessons that I may have done on different programs or different streams, we would have had full explanations as to who is Olodumare. All right. Now, the tradition of our ancestors is different from the religions that exist in the diaspora and that is spreading throughout the world. As a result of which, many times in trying to explain concepts that belong to the Ifa Orisa tradition, we have to find similar concepts that people can relate to, and if possible, use those comparisons to explain things in a way that it is easily relatable to most people. Many times, in so doing, we are found in a position where we have to use examples that are, in fact, not equivalent to some of the concepts of Ifa Orisha. So, as a result of that, many times we have what is called oversimplification. All right, in this case, where Olodumare is described as God, the supreme being, that is an oversimplification. However, what is rightful in this statement and what is absolutely without doubt and accepted by everyone is that Olodumare represents the creative force in Aye or on this planet, in this universe. All right. The second tenet says, I know that there are forces of nature to deal with the affairs of the universe and of man. All right. This is another tenet or tenet that is widely accepted. All right. We were taught as part of the tradition that specific forces in nature, and in this case, I would make specific references to Himalayas and Orisha that carry out very specific functions in nature and also in the affairs of man. Some people refer to these forces as elemental forces. Some people call them divine forces. Some people call them spiritual forces. So there are many terms that are used in English to describe the roles and the functions of these energies, whether they be Himalayas or Orishas, and even in some cases, even ancestors. They have very, very specific roles that they were created to carry out. All right. I know, the other tenant says, I know that ancestral spirits must be remembered, honored, and consulted by the living. All right, this introduces the importance of ancestors. All right, and we're going to talk a little bit about that because that is one of the fundamental aspects of Isheshe or of our tradition. And I will explain why. Our past our present, and our future is one continual thread or a continuum, meaning we are what our fathers were, and our children in the future would be who we are. Let me explain what I mean by that. Genetically, my father, my grandfather, and my great grandfather are parts of myself. The children that I have and the children that I will have are going to have my DNA in them, which means that they, in turn, now would be a part of that thread that I am the recipient of through my parents. Now, when we speak of ancestors, we are speaking collectively of all those who has lived before us that is a part of our bloodline. In modern scientific terms, what we would say is those who lived who have contributed to our DNA. All right? So our ancestors are our blood relatives who lived before us. Now, how important this is and why should they be remembered? Okay, firstly, we spoke of DNA. So now let us speak about the way that we live, the influences, the social forces, our environment, our community. The family is always referred to as the first socializing unit. So when you grow up with your parents, whether it is a mother alone, a father alone, an aunt, a grandmother, whatever the situation might be, many of the habits that you would have developed would have came from what you were taught by your parents or guardian, and most of your behaviors and mannerism would have also came from what you were able to observe them do. So by and large, your ancestors doesn't only deposit DNA particles in your genes, but they also largely influence a lot of your social and behavioral patterns. So ancestors do not only serve as genetic contributors, but they also serve as examples which inform, creates, modifies, and put in you and in your person behavioral characteristics. This does not take away from the fact that we are free human beings and we exercise choices. But I'm simply speaking about the factors that influence the way you operate and the way that you think in relation to the significance of ancestrality. Now, why should they be remembered? There is an adage that says that one should not be like a tree without roots. Every tree has roots. Some trees bear fruits. The deeper the roots, the larger the tree can grow. The larger the tree can grow, it's the more fruits it can produce. So I'm using that analogy to say that the roots represent the structure, the foundation. So therefore, it is very important for us to always know our roots and pay attention to our roots, remember our roots and reinforce it so that the future generations would be aware, conscious, and hopefully proud of what their ancestors has done to put them in the position that they are in, which of course, by all means and standards, should be in a better place. All right, so let me go back. I hope it's clear to us all why we need to remember our ancestors, why it's necessary to venerate our ancestors. All right. The next tenet is I know that divination is the roadmap to destiny. All right, we've done several lessons on the role of divination and the importance of divination. Okay, again, what divination does, it does not predict, but what it gives us is a forecast. It tells us of what is possible in the future. And not only does it tell us what is possible, but it also offers solutions to various types of possibilities that may not be desirable. All right. So having a knowledge of what is likely to occur ahead of one's life or in one's life puts one in a position where one could prepare, be better prepared. So divination, which must or should be done by every devotee. All right. I wouldn't say how regular because that depends on many factors. All right. Including your lineage and how you have been taught concerning divination. But divination prepares you for your future, it prepares you for your destiny, it informs you of your destiny, and it puts you in a better position where you would be able to move forward towards the fulfillment of your destiny. That is the significance of divination. It's a guide. All right. So the language here of it being referred to as a roadmap is very, very clear. That is what it serves as. All right. The next tenet says, I know the use of offering and blood sacrifices are for atonement and elevation of our prayers to the Orisha and the Igun. All right. Now, a lot of people, when they hear the term blood sacrifice, they become very afraid, very traumatized. Right? But I would simply use a couple of examples to explain the significance and the symbolisms of blood used in sacrifice. All right. And I'm going to use examples that people can relate to in the diaspora. And there are some people in the fatherland and motherland who can also relate to it because they have been exposed to other religious concepts. Now, there are many religions that exist on this planet, in this universe. And practically all of them believe in the use of blood sacrifice. Many of them do not emphasize it, they do not speak of it, but they believe in it. I'm going to give just two examples. One of the popular religions in the diaspora that is called Christianity believe in a crucified savior and redeemer who offered his life as a sacrifice for the salvation of humanity. The entire framework and concept of that belief and that religious system is predicated on a blood sacrifice of a human being. So many times you would hear the term that Jesus' blood is the ultimate redeeming price that was paid. There goes one example. All right. The other example I could think of is something that is referred to as Idul Adha, that is celebrated by Muslims, where an animal is slaughtered as a sacrifice. And then the animal is used like regular ebo, as in our community, to feed members of the community. So I'm just saying this for comparative reasons to explain for all the individuals who are traumatized that this same use of blood sacrifice is present in practically most other religious concepts and philosophies. It is not exclusive to us. All right? But the symbolisms associated to blood is life. Without blood, a person cannot live. Without blood, an animal cannot live. Nothing could live without blood. And it is believed that our spirit is in our blood. So, therefore, blood represents life and spiritual energy and life force. Okay? This is why it is used as a form of atonement, which is the term used here, to blot out or to remove particular things. All right? Now, I can quote Odus that speak on it. I could even use other religious texts, like, for example, in Christianity, they say, without the shedding of blood, there is no remission of sin. So, persons who sometimes this, traumatizes need to, probably spend some time and think of those things. All right, let me move forward. I know of magic, and this here specifically refers to the transformation of prayers and offerings to action. All right, so by the term magic, what they are simply referring to is the ability to transform prayers and offerings into what we refer to as fruition or manifestation, into reality, into effectively bringing changes into the lives of individuals. All right. And there is no question on these things about the possibility of prayer changing a situation, the possibility of offerings changing a situation. This is something that most human beings who have any belief in a supreme being can attest to and be a witness to, because it has become a part of human life. All right. The next one speak of, I know of the magical and medicinal use of herbs. All right. I would be brief with that one, but I want to say this. Most herbs have healing properties, and it is the individuals who are knowledgeable on this and who can use the forces that are hidden in the herbs and that are a part of nature to bring about healing and the effects of using the herbs that would seem to many as supernatural. The reality is the power that is imbued in these plants and other sources too that are used for medicine. Once they are activated and they are combined in the correct way, and the people who have these knowledge apply the knowledge, they are able to produce results. They are able to effectively bring changes in conditions of health and in many other conditions. We call them miracle, we call them magic, simply because we do not understand the deep workings of nature, as some of these people with the knowledge do have. All right? The other tenant says, I know that man can commune with Olodumare through transpossession. All right, this one is also another cross the board experience that many people have. They describe it differently. Some people say possession, some people say manifestation, some people say talking in tongues, some people say, it's called by all sorts of names. But it is common knowledge that devotion to the Supreme Being, to Olodumare, requires particular actions on our part, particular ritual actions, songs, chants, or rikis, and a multitude, a plethora of practices. But what we know with a certainty is that this is one of the ways that we as devotees commune with the divine spirit, with Olodumare, with the ancestors, with the Orishas. All right? The next one says, I know that ritual song and dance is mandatory. All right, that's what I just explained. All right. The two is similar. I know that man can commune with Olodumare through transpossession. All right. And the last one said, I know that in reincarnation we are reborn through our bloodline and lineage. These things are being discovered by modern science. They call it all sorts of fancy scientific names. Now you have a child who's an ancestor reborn, and we refer to them as prodigies, as geniuses, children that are born having particular skills as a child that normally only adults have. Modern science is now trying to categorize these type of things and trying to explain them using science. We know through our tradition that these things occur because of what we refer to as atunwa. Our tradition teaches us that every 7 generation a person is reincarnated into their own lineage. This is explained in this tenet. My personal view and understanding of this is that there are two main reasons why a person would be born into their own lineage. One is to help the collective destiny of their lineage to go in a particular direction. And the other reason I believe you are born into your own lineage is for you to be able to evaluate for your own self once you become aware as to whether or not when you were here before, whether you were successful or unsuccessful in leading and being a proper example to your offsprings. All right. So that concludes the Orisha tenets for today's class. All right. What I want to do is I am going to do the normal thing of letting you know where these streams can be accessed, on which platforms, and I'm also going to make you aware of the educational opportunities for persons who are interested in being educated on Ifa Orisa, where we have classes, where we have virtual classes, also where the streams can be viewed. All right. Now, we have several platforms on Facebook where you can view this program as well as other programs that are on the Green Network. The streams can be viewed on the Ifa Orisa Tradition Discussion Group of Trinidad and Tobago of TNT, on the Ifa Bemero home of Ifa Orisa tradition, on the Grassroots Education and Entertainment Network, on the Ifa Orisa Tradition Teaching Group of TNT, on the Ifa Orisa Community Congress, on the Traditional Herbal Health Network International, on the Ifa Orisa Institute of Sacred and Divine Science, on the Orisa Baptist Small and Medium Business Alliance, on the African Indigenous Tradition Community, as well as on the Orisa Baptist Teaching Moments International and on the Ianti's Diasporic Venture. Other than the opportunity on Facebook, we are also on YouTube on the Ifa Bemero home of Ifa Orisa tradition. All right, so you could go there, you could like, subscribe, as well as share our videos from YouTube. All right, we have 3 programs that are broadcasted on the Green Network that are available on most of those Facebook platforms that I've just mentioned. We have a Sunday class on traditional herbal health at 5 p.m. each Sunday. We have the Ifa Bemero show each Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. And on a Friday, this show, which is the Ifa Orisa Tradition Community Discussion at 6:30 p.m. each Friday. We have virtual classes in astrology on a Friday at, on a Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. And we also have etymology classes on a Friday at 5 p.m. There are no virtual classes currently available, but we would advertise and let devotees know when these classes actually become available. All right. Now, of course, as usual, we want you to like, subscribe, and share the videos. And today, I'm going to share with you a couple of community activities that is happening this month in our community. All right. The first one I'd like to speak about is the Oshun Festival Family Day, which is being hosted by the Ile Ijosi Otura Meji Awon Oshun in collab with the Kenny Cyrus Alkibulan Ile Juba. This would be the 23rd festival, but this particular Family Day event is going to be hosted at the Emancipation Park or at the Lupino grounds. All right. And of course, it's going to begin on Saturday, the 27th of August at 10 a.m. All right. Beside this event, which is going to be hosted on the 27th of August, Ile Egbe Yomonja presents its annual Breakfast Delight on the 26th of August, 2022 from 7 a.m. This is going to be hosted at 13 Thomasine Street, Success Village, Lavantil, and I believe that is at the Shrine. The menu is going to be cassava, coconut, or whole wheat bake with saltfish, which is going to be $45, smoked herring, $45, and fish for $50. Bygone choka is for $45. It is going to include a complimentary drink of Morbi with each purchase. All right. They say they will deliver. Of course, that it will be if you have a large order, right? So we are saying, please support this event, all right, as it is going to be a wonderful breakfast. All right. Next up is we have the Shango Rain Festival. All right. This is going to be hosted at the shrine in Gasparillo Road, Santa Cruz. All right, I think it's the Isam Shrine. The date for the event is three dates that are listed. The dates are August the 6th, which would be the beginning of the activity, and that would start at 10 a.m., where there would be herb planting and an open market. All right. At 3 to 5 p.m., they would have Oriki, Ogun, and the Igungun propitiation. Right. And then between 6 and 8, there would be a bonfire blessing. All of this would be on the 6th of August. Then on the Sunday is the second day of the festival. All right. Starting at 9 a.m. in the morning, there would be Nagerio, all right, cornmeal porridge ritual items and drumming from 9 a.m. Of course, there would be lunch at 11:30 a.m. And then there would be orikis and praise and song and word, poems, stories, and songs for Shango, etc. All right, at 2 p.m. And then, of course, they close off at 6 for the following day's activity, which is Monday the 8th. All right. The activities would be an offering of thanks to Oshun at the Isam River between 8 a.m. and 12 noon. Again, this is the Shango Festival. It's going to be hosted between the 6th and the 8th by the Isam Shrine, Gasparillo Road in Santa Cruz. And of course, all are invited. All right, we have another event again. We have Olorisha Alatumushe, which is otherwise known as Dylan Duke. I guess that's his government's name. He invites you to his Thanksgiving on Sunday, the 14th of August. And the venue is going to be Lot 226 Cassava and Gova Drive in KP Lands, La Plata, Valencia. This event begins at 2 p.m. And of course, the venerating color is all colors, and particularly they want people to wear white to that event. All right. And last but not least, the Egbe Onisi Eludumare, all right, at number 12, First Street, Sparrow Drive, Pity Valley, would be hosting a fish and sweet potato chip sale for $30. It is for effort for generating funds for building activities for the shrine. But the actual sale is not going to be at the shrine. Please pay attention to this part. It is going to be at the Crystal Stream opposite Daybreak Bar. That is the location where you would go if you wish to participate in the fish and sweet potato chip sale. All right. Egbe Onisi Eludumare, in its effort to generate funds for building activities in progress, are hosting a series of micro fund generating events, of which this is one of them. So we look forward to the others that, of course, we are encouraging the members of our community to come out and to support all of the events hosted by our community. So for persons who having events and did not hear me announce the event, forgive me, but I probably am unaware of the event. So what I would suggest for persons who wish to have any event that is a part of our community, that contributes to our community, let me know, and I would definitely highlight the event on this program, which is the community discussion program. All right. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. And I want to say I would see you next week. And I would say, Order Bo.